it play and call it work.
Hey there, Wargamers! Luka from MiniWarGaming, joined by Kyle from Mantic Games, who is here demoing the new Kings of War 3rd Edition with myself. Now, I played 2nd Edition a handful of times, but there are some differences in 3rd Edition that he's here to show me, and this is going to be the first official 3rd Edition battle report, you said?
First official 3rd Edition battle report that we're putting out with a full rule set so that you guys can see it and get a really good idea of what we're trying to do in 3rd Edition Kings of War.
Now, the idea with this is, if you're not familiar with Kings of War, watch this battle report. We're doing 1,000 points, and you'll get some insight into the rules and how this rank and flank fantasy wargame works. Now, if you're already familiar with Kings of War, then this will be specifically showing off the new 3rd Edition rules. There's a number of things. We're going to go over them as we go into the game. I'm playing Josh's Abyssal Dwarfs, so he's already invested in the game, and I'm playing against the Night Stalkers from Kyle. They've just gotten new models. They've had rules for a bit since 2016, you said, but these are brand new models and they're beautiful. So if you're interested in a Cthulhuan, like nightmare style faction, that is exactly what these Night Stalkers are. Now, we're also doing the Salted Earth scenario, which is one of the 12 scenarios in the game, and this is my first experience with objective marker based rank and flank wargaming.
It's pretty cool.
Now, I've played like fantasy for years, not like 20 years, like 4 years, but no objectives in that. It's just kill, 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 move around, kill. This is my first experience with this, and I am loving it. I played a couple games off camera, and this is my first one on camera, so hopefully you guys can enjoy this with me. Sit down, relax, enjoy this. And I want to note we also did do a discussion on 3rd Edition that is paired with this video where we go over some promo codes if you're interested. And if you're not watching that and you want to go buy Kings of War stuff right now and you don't want to watch that video for whatever reason, make sure you use the promo code KOW MiniWarGaming when you go to buy the 2-player starter set or the rulebook, or both. Now, let's get to the game.
We are going to take a look at the Abyssal Dwarf forces first. Again, these are Josh's here at MiniWarGaming. He got this a little while back, and he finally got it back in from a commission job, so I think they did an excellent job. 1,000 points with some upgrades, I should note. I have a leader here in the form of an Ironcaster. He can swap out a spell called Fireball for Surge, which I did, which allows my Shambling Golem unit to move forward, and I took the Bane Chance spell as well, which gives him another option for a spell. Now, I can only cast one of those a turn in the shooting phase, but that one is good if I'm already locked in combat. Now I have one unit of actual Abyssal Dwarf. Well, I technically have two that are actual dwarves. These are called the Immortal Guard. They are a very defensive dwarven unit that have strong ties to the Abyss, which allows them to regenerate damage they take in the battle. One regiment here of half-breeds, which are mutated Abyssal Dwarves. Now, they like to experiment a lot. They do have regeneration through the same means, but they have heavy, heavy damage potential on the charge. I have a 3rd regiment here of Lesser Obsidian Golems. Now, these guys have Shamble, which means they're slow on mobility, but they are going to be affected by Surge, so they're going to be sticking around my Wizard to help them out. Over here we have a regiment of Slave Orcs, unfortunately under control of the Abyssal Dwarves here. Now in 3rd Edition, there's a new army coming out, which is going to be Slave Ratkin, which are going to be tied in with the Abyssal Dwarves as well, giving them more options, and a brand new army in the game as well, bumping them up even further in the amount of armies they have in Kings of War. Now this unit here, it's cheap and bad. So cheap is good, bad is sometimes not so great, but it's always nice to have extra units on the field, especially when you're playing an objective-based game. Got one troop of annoying gargoyles. They have high regenerative properties and they are fast, but they got real bad morale. So if they get hit, if they get hit by a ranged attack or spell good once, they're out of here. Now, for anyone from 2nd Edition who was a fan of gargoyles, they did take a hit in the regeneration. They're only 4 up regeneration now instead of 3 up. If you're not familiar with what that means, you'll see it all in the game. Now I got 2 war machines here. On the left, we have a Grog Mortar. Won't be that effective against the Night Stalkers because they are hard to hit. And on the right, we got a Dragonfire team. This is a mobile flamethrower unit. 2 things I forgot to mention are a couple of upgrades. On the Immortal Guard, we have a Mastiff. So while in the battle, they have this real nasty rabid dog with them, and they hold it back until they're ready to let it go, and it just goes charging at the unit within 12 inches. It acts as a shooting attack that can be quite devastating. And on the half-breeds, we have a Staying Stone. It's a 5-point upgrade, but it increases their bravery, or their leadership morale. Their wavering point by 1 up to, I believe it's 15, as opposed to 14. Which can make a big deal, or a big difference, you'll see in the game. And that sums up Josh's Abyssal Dwarfs that I'll be playing. Now we can go take a look at the Night Stalkers by Kyle. Here is the Night Stalkers. Like I said in the intro, very Cthulhuian. Obviously, you can see a few very familiar, kind of creepy looking themed things. Now, you painted these guys up in a week, or last week, you said?
Last week. It was a rush. I wanted to get it and bring them here because they're really exciting to show off. It's just a nice new miniatures for us, and I think they're great looking. They're creepy and very unique.
They definitely stood out immediately once you put them down, for me at least. Now, why don't you let the people know what you got?
Sure. I'll start off on the left here. These guys are a horde of butchers. Now, they are a truck, pretty much kind of a unit. They have crushing strength 2. They're going to be hitting on 4, so fairly average, but lots of attacks with 18, and their defense 5, high fearless nerve. So they're meant to stick around and fight. You want to stick them in the tough places and make them work. In front of them, I've got a troop of Reapers. Now, this is kind of a blender unit. It's a suicide unit. Their nerve is really low, their defense is really low, but they've got 20 attacks and they hit on 3s, so it can be really devastating if they get a charge off. So I want to try to protect them and screen them. And I can do that with a unit like these guys to the right. These are the Needle Fangs, and it's a great chaff unit. So these guys can fly. They've got really low defense 2, but they've got some pretty decent attacks on them, and essentially you want to get them in the way and put them in places so that your opponent cannot charge you first. Great fantasy, tactic that you want to do with these types of armies, and this is a perfect unit at 80 points to do that. Above them are the Scarecrows, and these guys are a similar kind of unit. They're really cheap, 80 points as well, and I use them to score a lot of objectives. So like Luka was saying, this is an objective-based game most of the time, and it's very effective to have a unit like this that you can just drop on an objective and get things done with. So they're not very offensive, but they get in the way and they can capture things, which is a big deal. This guy is the Mind Screech, and it is a monster type of character. It's changed quite a bit from 2nd edition. Now it's got 3 different spells available as a profile, so it's a real nice utility kit. It flies, it's got Pathfinder, which means it can go through the woods and that sort of thing and make it very maneuverable to get in the tight places. It can score on objectives as well, which is kind of rare for a monster type of unit, but that's pretty important. So it can throw out long-range lightning bolts or even push my opponent around with a Wind Blast spell, so that's really, really effective for something like that. This is a Shade, so this creature is this nightmare concoction of faces and mouths that come together, and his main role is to do things like go hunt war machines, get in the way, and be generally pretty annoying. He also has a special rule called Dread, so that when I have him within 6 inches of my enemy, his morale and waiver routes are essentially lower than they would be normally, just because he's kind of spooky. Lastly, these are the Shadow Hounds. This is a regiment of them, and they are 2-headed dogs from another dimension. I've upgraded them with the Potion of the Caterpillar, which is an item that allows them to have Pathfinder, so they can get through the forest. They have a lot of attacks with 20. They're hitting on 4s, though, and only Thunders charge 1, so they modify my opponent's defense by 1 point. So it's really important that if I do get caught up in terrain, they're not hindered. So it's a very important upgrade. And I really like these guys. Super fast, really nimble, can get into tight places fairly easily, and if they get a clean charge, they do a lot of hurting.
And that there, folks, sums up both the armies for today's game. Let's go take a look at the table, and I can describe the scenario that we're playing. Here we have the table for today's game. Now, what we built here was something very showing off some of the changes for 3rd edition, but also something pretty and something that is actually usable for a rank and flank war game, right? Because you have to consider that. It is all about mobility, and you want surfaces that you can actually stand on without having to worry about all your models or your dioramas falling all over the place. So what we have here is maybe the outskirts of a city or a larger town, or maybe it's just an estate where a wealthy individual lives, and they have maybe the groundskeeper over there, and we have a windmill over here, or that could be like the apothecary's hut out in the woods. I am a big fan of this table, and you'll see why as we play as well. Now, we have a scenario, Salt the Earth. Kyle, why don't you go ahead and let the people know, because you know better than I do. What is this scenario?
So we have a total of 7 objectives on the board. There's one in the exact center of the table, and this one marks, it's slightly different. You can see it's got the pointy ends on it as opposed to the round tokens. This one marks where essentially we're going to try to fight over. Every other objective on the board has the ability to be destroyed by a unit that controls it at the end of that player's turn. So if you want to, you can essentially take away a scoring opportunity for your opponent and yourself But the only one you can't destroy is that center objective. So how you want to deploy from here is thinking about, hey, where can I go get the best objectives that are going to win me the game and deny my opponent at the same time? So we saw some of those units in our army overviews that seemed kind of useless. Well, all of a sudden, now you know they can go just destroy one of these objectives or claim one and win the game.
Now, two things I want to note. The game lasts between 6 and 7 turns. Does it go to a 7th turn on a 4 or more?
Correct.
So on a 4 or more, and then whoever controls the most objectives at the end of the 6th or 7th turn, if it goes that long, wins the game. They're worth 1 point each at that point. So essentially, if they're all burnt, the only one that matters is the middle one. Otherwise, all the other ones can matter too. And you control an objective in this game by having units on it that have a unit strength of 1 or more. And that's pretty much regiments or troops. War machines don't have any unit strength, so my guys aren't going to be able to do that. So that's something I'm going to have to watch out for, whereas Kyle has more things that can score than I do, I think. Something commonly used in Kings of War when it comes to the tournament scene is total unit strength in your army. We're actually both at 11, because each unit has different character values for their unit strength, but Kyle has one more technically scoring unit than I do, but we're both at the same number, which is something interesting. And then that comes up when there's multiple units that could score with unit strength on an objective, whichever unit has a higher value, or the combined value of all the units near the objective is the controller of the objective.
Something that changed in 3rd edition is that we now are listing unit strength in the profile of the unit, as opposed to just putting it, assigning to whatever unit type they are. So for example, in 2nd edition, unit strength was determined by all infantry had this unit strength, where now it's just listed purely in the profile of the unit. I think that's going to make things cleaner and clearer for new players and veterans alike.
Now it is roll-off time. The way this works is we just roll off and one of us picks a side. So in King's War, it's pretty much always Dawn of War, so you don't have to worry about other deployments. So it's always like 12 inches up, 12 inches up, and there's 24-inch no man's land in the middle to play around with. So highest roller picks a side. So you got to So all the power to you.
Oh man, we've been doing a couple of demos, and I've always been on this side. Do I want to stay here because it's familiar?
Well,
I think so. I'm going to stay right here.
All right, so you're over there. That means I will be deploying over here, and it uses a you go, I go style deployment. So Kyle's going to be putting a unit down, then I will, and then Kyle, etc., etc. I'm going to show that off for the time-lapse deployment, though. So stay tuned. It'll be a second for you guys. Deployment is finished on my end. I've got my half-breeds, gargoyles, I got the mortar, I got the flamethrower, I got the slave orcs, I got the lesser golems, and I've got my immortal guard. And around these two, I've got my hero, the wizard, because he buffs them with inspiring, so they're harder to take off the table when they do get into close combat. Or I mean, even for shooting and all that stuff in spells. So what I mean by that is he's got an ability called inspiring for Hellforged only, so himself and both of them are Hellforged. Whereas my half-breeds are abominations, they're not quite Hellforged, so they don't get that inspiring. And inspiring is just a reroll on the morale dice when you take a wavering, or when you check for wavering, or you check for routing. Gargoyles and the slaves, well, they're not Hellforged either. And across from me, what do we got here, Kyle?
We've got a regiment of Scarecrows right here. I gave these guys a Scream Shard, and that's going to give them +1 life leech. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, it's a 1 use per game, so I kind of like that. It's going to, yeah.
Is it like 5 points?
Yeah, 5 points. Real easy thing. Just kind of throw it out there and see what works. Behind them, being screened by them, are my Trooper Reapers, because they just really like to hit stuff, and they're going to do a lot of damage if I am allowed to do that. So
I'm very familiar with how much damage they can do now, so I'm going to try my best to let that not happen.
That's the goal. Mine Screech right in the center. I want this guy to have a really good field of view, basically, to do what I need. I can push him around if I need to, which would be fantastic. I can shoot some lightning bolts and snipe him.
Right.
Maybe a character take him out, something like that. Who knows? Maybe the war machines, whatever I'm feeling at the moment. Next to him is my Shade. Again, similar thought process here. I just want to be able to go any direction that I need to, and a lot of times I want to hunt war machines or characters with this guy, even his Gargoyle. So really good counter harassing unit that I can do, and he's got a special rule called Dread, which I can modify his nerve value just by being close to him, because he's spooky, scary guy.
He does look scary.
Next to them is the Needle Fangs. These guys are going to screen similar to the Scarecrows for my Butchers. Now, this is my big heavy hitter unit, and I want to get them into the sides of things. And I'm going to try to threaten multiple angles by putting my Shadow Hounds way out here on the flank. These guys are super fast. They can charge a grand total of 18 inches, and I gave them an item that allows them to ignore negative modifiers from terrain called the Potion of the Caterpillar. So with that, I've got Nimble built into the unit. They're going to get a lot of advantages. I'm looking to take advantage of one of the new rules in 3rd edition by getting them on a hill so they get a bonus to their thunderous charge. So that's going to be a great thing. If they charge off the hill, they're essentially coming with a lot more steam. Right. So it's a great way to represent some flavor terrain rules in the game, and I think that if I can take advantage of it, which it looks like I got a couple of hills here, I might be able to do. So that's my game plan.
Well, if you're curious, my game plan is I'm going to walk forward and hopefully don't die. So there's that. You see that unit right there? It's going to walk right there and stand still, and hopefully survive anything that hits it. That may work, it may not work. We'll find out.
They're pretty tough. Yeah.
That's my tactic. These guys are going to go up and smash face, and these guys are worthless slaves. They're going to go hold this objective. Next thing we do is we roll a d6 to see who gets to choose to take the first turn or not.
It's kind of a big deal.
So I got a 5, got a 3.
Oh, you get to choose.
Ooh. Well, see, I don't know. What do you suggest?
It's really common in an objective game that you would want to go at the bottom of the turn.
Yes,
so as the game ends, it's good because you get the final say on what you get to do to win the game or not. So very common tactic here is to pick the bottom of the turn. But maybe I'm just trying to bait you into doing that. Who knows?
No, I think I'm just gonna take the bottom of the turn. I'll take your advice. So you'll be going first then.
I will be going first, which is your choice. Obviously, it gives me a slight movement advantage. So I obviously can kind of dictate where things are going, but then he gets to dictate at the end of the game who gets the last say in the objective. So
all right, Kyle, I want to let the people know how this works. This is your movement phase now. What do you do? Where do you start?
There are several different orders that you can issue for movement, and for the most part, the two most common that you're going to see are a regular advance, where you have the speed profile of the unit and you just go straight forward that number of inches, whatever the number is. If it's 4 for my Scarecrows here, for example, that's how many inches forward they can go. You also get a 90-degree pivot around the center of the unit that you can turn at any point in time during that movement. For them in this instance, I've got a fence in the way, and this is it's a terrain feature that's essentially going to slow me down, so I can't go at the double. Normally, if you go at the double, you go double your speed, as the name would suggest, and then go through it. But because the fence is there, that's going to slow me down. So I actually am going to move up, and they're going to be slightly in the fence, so we're just going to tip the fence like this.
Over,
yep,
yeah.
Tip it like that, and then put them there. So I'm still on the fence, which would be an issue for later on in the game, but right now it's not that big of a deal. I actually kind of, strategically, I want this side to be a little bit slower because all your stuff's over here, and if I, go up too much too quickly, I'm just going to get decimated. So I need some support over here, and I'm going to be a little bit more patient. I don't have an objective immediately in front of me. There's these ones here, so I'm just thinking about essentially getting you to start coming towards me a little bit because that's all I can do. Now, this guy is obviously sitting directly on an objective. He has a special rule called fly, which means that if I wanted to move over a piece of terrain, I can do that with no penalty. As long as I can clear it and land past it, that's not an issue. He also has nimble, so I can pivot twice when I move. So you can additional pivot in addition to whatever you would normally do. So if your pivot would normally only be once because you're going at the double, then you can do it twice. So it's a great way to add some extra variety. So this guy in particular is going to just move up ever so slightly. You get a 6-inch movement. I could pivot twice if I wanted to. Now I want to measure, and you can measure it any time in this game, what Luka's distance is on his charges and things like that, just to make sure that I'm not putting myself out there. So here he's got a 10-inch charge. I know that I'm safe up to that point. The unit over on the side there is a little bit of a different story because those guys are quick. So they've got a movement speed of 8, so they can charge double that, which is 16. So kind of scary. I want to make sure I respect them. So the Mind Screech has got a long-range lightning bolt. This is something that I want to be able to shoot at him early on in the game just to put some early damage on, but keep him safe. So the Shade is a similar thing here. He is a unit that I want to go after his war machines, essentially. I could even completely redeploy with him because he's so fast. Speed 10 on this guy, and individuals can turn any direction before they move, so it's a great opportunity for them to pick any target that they want and then go get it. He's a great support character, not quite that offensive. This isn't Hero Hammer. You know, the way the King's War works is the combat characters, he's only got 5 attacks. So it's not really all that devastating, but it's important that you can use them in annoying and harassing ways. I can shut down shooting or things like that. So very generally, that's all I'm going to do with him is sort of position him in a similar way, like this, so that I can have that same angle behind this Mind Screech, but right now there's nothing I'm looking to do. All right, so this is a unit that I know is super quick, and angles are really important in Kings of War. So they've got a base move of 9, so I can go this far, or go at the double up to 18. And like I said, angles are important, so I want to pay attention to staying out of his charge angle, but dwarves are slow, thankfully, so...
Yeah, they are.
These guys, I'm going to mark where they're at here, and I'm going to move them straight up like this. And this unit has Nimble, so I get an additional pivot. So I want to think about, in my next turn, where do I want them to be facing at the start so I don't have to use one of those pivots. So I'm just going to turn them ever so slightly like this.
Nimble is an incredibly powerful ability. So normally when you go at the double, you can't pivot, right? You just you go straight.
Straightforward.
But the fact that they have Nimble means they get to add 1 to the amount of times they can pivot. In this case, 0 becomes 1. And that is insane to be able to go 18 inches and then still turn.
Yeah, it's a really big deal. So these guys also fly, and I'm just going to move them up because I want to get them in your way. So I'm just going to move their 7.
They're going to act
place.
as a screening unit.
Yeah, they're a screening unit.
Now, are they Nimble?
They are Nimble.
Oh, wow.
And
There you go.
Like that. The Butchers are a little bit of a slower unit, that's okay, but I'm going to move them up, and they're safe right now, so it's all right. I can move their normal 6. I don't want to move into my own unit. Obviously, you got to maintain a little bit of a gap there, but just get them into a safe position that I know I'm setting up what I'm doing. What I want is a charge angle here, a charge angle here, so we have multiple directions so that we need to make sure that Luka can't face both of my units at the same time. He can only defend one flank and one front, but not both.
Now that will conclude the movement, as you've seen, very basic, very simple, but it covers all of that rank and flank kind of style. This is the preliminary stuff. There's more to it, which we'll show you on a little bit more on my turn, and then obviously charging when charging comes up. Now it's the shooting phase, which is the exact same time you do your magic in.
Absolutely. So I've only got one shooting option here. That's going to be my Mind Screech. So I've got 3 different spells that I can choose from, and range is an important factor here. So I would measure from the leader point, which is the exact center of the base, and try to see how far I can go. And for Lightning Bolt, which is an offensive spell for me, it's 24 inches. So I've got a pretty good range here that I have the ability to go into either of these units. Now, the issue is I need line of sight. And commonly in Kings of War, we use lots of tools to give us an idea of what these things are going to be. And this forest right here is blocking my line of sight currently because I'm not inside it. So I can't see past that mark. So as you can see, I am blocked from actually shooting that Immortal Guard unit. So my only real option here is the Lesser Obsidian Golems, which is not a very good option. These guys are defense 6, but let's shoot them anyway.
Woo! Let's shoot them anyways.
So I need 4s to hit with my spell.
So this spell has 6 shots at all
6 shots.
times, and every 4-up is an automatic, is a success essentially, and every success is 1 hit.
Totally math. Now I would roll to damage. So it has a piercing 1 special rule, which means I have a 1 modifier to his defense. His defense is 6. So now because piercing 1 is there, I modify it down to a 5. So I need 5s.
Yeah.
And don't get a 1. So like I said, kind of a bad unit to shoot at, but that was my only option. So good placement by him to keep his unit safe.
And that's pretty much it for shooting on the end of the Night Stalkers, because they just had the 1 mate. They're mostly focused on close combat and mobility and defense against shooting. And that is a player turn, folks. Now, you'll notice that there isn't a lot of rolling for myself. Now, this is on purpose. This is a design philosophy for Kings of War, where one player literally rolls everything on their turn, and then the other player rolls everything on their turn. Now, I've heard gripes about that, but what that does is it makes the turns incredibly quick. Now, both recording and for myself, that was like less than 5 minutes per player turn. And even when it gets to combat, it's still just as quick as it's go in, do your attacks, do your damage rolls, done, pass turn, now back to the other player. Now is my turn to move. Now the issue here is I gotta worry about all these high mobility units that are over here. Specifically them. So like Kyle said, these guys, they can charge 18 inches. So I gotta watch out for like pretty much where they are. The one thing that we should talk about is heights. We mentioned that vaguely earlier. Each piece, like every unit and every piece of terrain has varying heights, which contribute to certain line of sights and everything. So to charge, you have to actually have line of sight from the leader point of your unit. And again, it doesn't matter, like the models, they're there for the looks, right? But all that matters is the actual rectangle here, this unit. So the leader point here has to be able to see this unit to charge. Now, technically they are in range, but that line of sight passes over this hill.
So hills are important because they're generally going to be height 2, and all the units that are involved in this scenario are height 2. So height 2, height 2, height 2. What that means is that there is not enough visibility here because it's all the same. So anything that is either equal or higher would block that line of sight. So I absolutely cannot see him with this unit from this position, and that makes things slightly difficult. So this is a really good defensive feature that he set up with his army, and was a really smart play on his part. He took advantage of the actual terrain rules. Now we list the height for units in each profile, which is important, and then the terrain features are entirely up for you and your opponent to decide before the game.
Now, hills, well, from what Kyle has told me, are generally always height 2, and forests, because you want them to be tall, are generally height 6, which is the highest height.
Yeah,
So
height
nothing-
6 would be highest. There's nothing in the game that could actually see over it. You want things that are on the table that actually would block line of sight completely. That way, you're not giving an advantage to like a giant, for example, or a dragon that would be height 6 and could see over everything and has total range, and terrain doesn't even matter. So you have to give things a balanced look by placing terrain features that are equal for everybody.
And in this game, the forests and the hills, especially in the games that we played off camera, have a huge impact in the game. As we'll see over here, like this forest is blocking a lot of line of sight to a lot of these units, but if they're in the woods, then they ignore it when they go to shoot. Like this mortar team is able to actually shoot out of these woods into things that they can see, whereas they can't be shot back because they are hidden, or considered to be hidden. The first thing I'm gonna move are going to be my half-breeds. Now, they have a movement of 8. Now, if I go at the double, they don't have Nimble. They don't have fancy like that. So that means if I was to go at the double, they'd have to go boop, like way up, or up to way up here. No pivoting. So I'm going to do a normal move where they get to move up to 8 inches, and then they can do 1 pivot before or afterwards. Or anytime in between that move. And again, they pivot from the middle. So it's things like, maybe if you're familiar with old fantasy, they wouldn't be able to turn this way because the back of this would clip with that, but they don't consider that here. Where does it look like when it's done, and where does it look like when it starts? And as long as they can land when they're done, it's good to go. So I could technically like pivot in this direction and go over there if I wanted to. I'm not actually going to do that because I want to go over here, but that's something that is new-ish in this game if you're not familiar with Kings of War. That is a mechanic I'm a huge fan of. That's a good way for new players to get into the game too. That way you don't kind of screw yourself over a lot with your deployments, right? So say these guys were out front, but they were really slow, and I put them behind, but imagine they were a really quick unit, they wouldn't be able to get through them. You can actually move through your own units in this game.
You can move through your own units.
As long as you clear them. Mm-hmm. You can't land on top of them, but it's very welcoming to new players, but again, it's got that steep learning curve, as you're probably about to see in this game where I'm about to get crushed. But we'll get there when we get there. So with the 8-inch move, the half-breeds end up there. Obviously going to go do a pivot, and again on the middle of their unit. So they're going to go and look in this direction, kind of covering this area over here and being safe from any charge against me from that stuff because it's a little bit slower. And again, with this half-breed unit, they have an ability called Thunderous Charge and Crushing Strength, which is modifiers in close combat melee where you lower their defenses and it's a little bit easier to wound them. That's, of course, assuming they get a clear charge off. They're not running through forest or anything like that. Now, these lesser golems are much slower. They can't go at the double because they have a rule called Shamble, which pretty much says they can't go at the double. So that means they have a movement of 5, so they're gonna go forward there 5 inches, and they're just gonna pretty much stand there, but they can still do a pivot afterwards as well. So landing there, I have to do the pivot still. One thing to consider is now they have a target in line of sight to charge, but I'm about 19.5 inches away, which means that is not a legal charge still. So I'm safe from them for now. But they're gonna get up on that hill, and that's something I gotta watch out for. Measuring where they could see, I pretty much don't wanna go past that mark on the map so that I'll still be out of line of sight because of the hill protecting me. Now, with that in mind, I am gonna go at the double technically. I don't wanna go that full distance they could go, but I'm gonna end up
Don't have
there.
to.
Yeah, so at the double makes my movement 4 into 8, but I can't pivot. I don't have to go the full 8 though, but I'm gonna go about 7-ish, 6 to 7 inches. Now my wizard is gonna go at the double. He's an individual, so he can go in any direction. Even at the double, he can go in any direction he wants. Just highly mobile.
Very liberating, yeah.
Yeah. We're just gonna go literally right behind my golems because I know
why are you gonna do that?
Well, I don't know, Kyle. Why am I going
He's
to
played
do
a couple of games where I've used Wind Blast on him and I can push him backwards. And if he has a unit there, then it stops that from happening.
Right, and they also help block him as a target for line of sight because of their height. They are height 3, I believe?
No, I think they are 4, actually.
Well,
so
actually,
I could still target your character, but I would be -2 to hit him. So not a great target.
Now, one thing to note, he's actually so big, he's at height 5, so he's clearly over the lesser golems here. Now, I'm going to be -1 to hit just because of my individual thing. And one thing to note is that most offensive spells always hit on 5s if there's cover, at least. So just the -1 from him being a little individual guy, a little bit harder to hit on the battlefield. Slave Orcs! They are going to do a normal move, but they're going to pivot first. And they actually get to move 5 inches, so they're going to end up somewhere about here. Still controlling the objective, but gonna go support over here when those nasty hounds get in my face. Because I gotta prevent them from getting, with that Nimble,
Oh, yeah.
they can get anywhere. Now these gargoyles, I wanna be a little safe with them because, albeit they're only 80 points, they're very cheap in the grand scheme of things. They're probably one of my most important units because of their mobility and their disruption capabilities. So I don't wanna rush them forward and get lightning bolted off the table. I want them to be safe and pop out when I need them. So they do have a movement of 10 and they can fly, though they're going to land in the woods to be a little safe. Now their base is poking out ever so slightly, a little bit, but as long as half of the footprint of the unit is in the woods, they're considered to be in the woods. And in this case, they're not going to be blocking my mortar either, and they're facing this direction just to be able to answer anything over here with that very high mobility. I don't want them to die, I want them safe, and I want to be able for them to do something cool. Now onto my war machines. This mortar here has reload, which means it cannot move and fire in the same turn because I have to take time to reload it. So he's pretty safe where he is because he's got that 48 inch range and he's got good line of sight of the field. He's going to stay still. Now my fire team here, they have steady aim, which means they can actually move and fire as a war machine. So they're going to move forward. They can't go at the double though because they're a war machine, and they're dwarves, so they only move 4 inches. I'm going to go a little bit deeper into the woods. Nothing's in range to fire at right now because my flamer range is only 12 inches. So nothing is within 16 inch threat range. Well, that's where they end up after their move. In fact, I want to note what I did there is technically called a Halt Maneuver, where they just don't move. Now, often you won't be playing against someone and then they're like, halt, 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 halt. They're just going to say, oh, they're not moving. For the most part, I assume. And that's pretty much everything moved. Again, more of a reaction to what Kyle has done.
That was the advantage of me going first.
Right.
So I get to dictate that early movement that sort of says what's going to happen as the game goes on, but you get the final say when the game ends.
Hopefully I make it. Now for shooting time, I've got magic to do. Well, he's a mage. He knows Bane Curse, he knows Surge. Now Surge only works on them because they have Shamble. What Surge does is it's Surge value 8. Are there different values for Surge?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
so he knows Surge 8.
It's pretty good.
That means I throw 8 dice for every 4 up. They get to move 1 inch forward, which does allow them to go into combat and counts as a charge, which is neat.
Really, really nice tactical applications for this spell. You can move a unit up, pivot, and then all of a sudden you're in the flank because whatever point on the base you contact first, that is what you're charging. Pretty effective.
And then the mortar is going to fire. Like I said, the fire team is not in range to fire anything, so they're just going to get into a better position for further in the game. This guy here, though, I'm somewhat of a fool. I've blocked a majority of their line of sight with that fire team. That's okay for this turn because I pretty much just wanted to do shots at the Scarecrows. Because I would love to shoot their Reapers behind them, but line of sight, they're height 2, so I can't technically see them. This does ignore cover, though I don't think cover is a factor right here. And
but stealthy is.
The stealthy is.
So Night Stalkers generally have a rule across the board called stealthy where you're just -1 to be shot at, even if you're wide out in the open. So that's the case here. I'm in the open. He normally hits on 5s. That means he needs 6s now with his War Machine.
Woo, it's okay. You know what? We're just getting dos 6-0s right here. Oh, no one! Nice. All right, so
now
this has got burst, which means every hit is D3 plus 1 hits, which means it could do up to 4 damage per hit.
Yeah.
So it's going to be 3. I'll take
3 total.
3 is good. This is
So
piercing.
roll damage.
Yeah. So what's the defense on them?
Defense is only 3, so you're going to wound on 2s, and then you've got Vicious on your ranged attack, so you're going to reroll your 1s.
Woo.
More.
All right. So I think this has got piercing 1 or 2. It doesn't matter in the end because it makes it so I wound you on 2s. Your defense is effectively 2. I assume it can never be lower than 2.
Can't be lower than 2.
So 2s, but oh boy, it's a good thing on an Abyssal Dwarf. They're vicious individuals. We got 3 hits, so they take 3 wound markers.
3 points of damage.
And now, normally in combat, you immediately take a resolve nerve test. In the case of the shooting phase, you take it at the end of the phase. So now I'm going to do a spell. I'm going to do Surge on them. Now this is a risky one. I don't know if it's very tactically advantageous for me right now, but I roll 8 dice because the Surge 8 for every 4 up, they have to move an inch forward. I could roll. I don't want to go 8 inches forward, but I might end up going 8 inches forward here. Okay, we're only going to go 3. That's not so bad.
Not so bad at all. They go there, and I'll close them up in a second. Boop, boop, boop.
And that's the last thing I can do in the shooting phase, so they owe me a nerve. Well, a check over there.
You roll the nerves too.
That's right, I keep forgetting. That is hard for me to remember.
I don't touch the dice in your turn.
This is my turn. I roll the dice.
So the way this works, yeah, you roll 2 dice and add to the damage that you've caused, whatever your result is.
So I'm going to roll a total of 8.
So a total of 8,
6.
compare that to the
Okay.
nerve.
Yeah, that's right.
These guys are Fearless 14, so there are 2 values for a nerve. There's a lower end where they can be kind of spooked, but they're not gone, and then the high end where if you achieve that, you've broken the unit. They're routed, they're off the board. So when we say Fearless, we're saying that this unit in particular cannot be wavered. They can't be spooked. They're spooky things already. It doesn't really make sense. So they are 14 on their nerve, which is pretty good for a regiment of their size. 5 plus 3 is 8. That's not 14. They're safe.
So theoretically, I had to roll an 11. If I had rolled an 11,
They're
that
dead.
one stray shot would have killed that whole unit. But to be fair, they're only 80 points, that Nightmare Squad. So, I mean, or the Scarecrows. That would have been not the worst loss for you, but that means the Reapers would have been on their own a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And that, folks, is the end of Battle Round 1 of 6 to 7. My turn took a little bit longer because I had a little bit more shooting, I think, and I probably took longer to think about my movements. We're going to go on to the top of turn 2 for the Night Stalkers. All right, Kyle, where would you like to begin?
So I know that this is a super critical point in the game over here, and you were able to do an incredibly good job of screening me from getting into your backfield. So kudos to you. Now, you can measure it anytime in this game, like I said. Something that's new in 3rd edition is that you measure charge distances from the closest points on the front of the base. So I would want to look at his charge distance of 10 and just to mark and see how far I can move up these Shadow Hounds before he can charge me, because I want to be able to charge him before he can charge me.
Right.
So I know roughly at this point on the hill is where I am safe to go. I'm going to do that. They have Nimble, like I said, so I actually get to pivot twice. I'm going to pivot once, go to about here, and then pivot again. So now I still have flank options here, and I'm out of his arc, so he can't charge me at all here. And these guys can't charge me because they're too far away. So really nice options here. My next turn, I am pretty much guaranteed a flank unless he turns to face.
Which I'll have to do, yeah.
And then I could move these guys up and charge that flank.
Exactly.
So he's threatening multiple angles, and that's what counts.
And also for these guys, they didn't do a double move. They just did a normal move, right?
Yes, they only went 9 inches, so they could pivot twice.
Oh, beautiful.
So important, I want to essentially move these guys into a similar position. They're speed 7. And I want to get to roughly about here so that I can threaten this angle, so I've got 2 different directions on them. They're also nimble, so in this case I'm going to essentially move up just a couple of inches. That's roughly, 3? And then I'm going to have 4 more to go after I make my pivot. So pivot number 1 is going to be right here. And then I've got another 3 inches to go, which is going to put them to about right there. And I'll move that first unit just to mark it. And then with Nimble, that lovely, lovely rule, I'll pivot again. And now I'm threatening both angles. And since dwarves are slow, he's only got 8 on his charge range, and I'm still safe.
Yep.
So fantastic.
I'm unfortunately a very slow boy here.
Butcher's similar thing here. I kind of want to screen with them. So I want to pivot because I don't want to hit this forest.
Right.
And I'm essentially going to pivot right there and come up to that point. I know I'm still safe, so threatening both angles this way keeps things fresh, and then the objective obviously is there too. So easy placement. Shade's gonna be really simple. I just want him to fly over to this side.
You're lining some stuff up, I see.
Maybe, you never know what's gonna happen. We, got plans.
Plans and plans and plans.
Yeah. Scarecrows, I want to get them up off this fence because I want the Reapers off the fence more importantly.
Right.
That's something that's kind of scary for me, obviously. You've got a 16-inch charge here. That's a long bomb, scary thing to happen, and I don't want to get charged by them.
Right.
So let's get these guys across the fence right there.
Right, so this is a good example of you push them over in this direction a little bit further. So if I go, I could technically declare a charge against the Reapers, but because I can't land in the front, I can't charge them.
Right,
now,
you can see them.
If they were poking out just a
Yeah,
little
if
bit,
I just had them on this side, you could make that charge.
I could hit that corner, and then I would get my entire unit's complement of attacks against them. But in this case, they're perfectly safe.
Trying to keep them safe, obviously, big deal to me.
They're a good countercharge unit, right?
Absolutely.
And that there, folks, is movement. What about the Mind Flayer brain floaty thingy?
I don't need to move it anywhere. I'm planning on casting some spells, and I got plenty of range to do it.
All right, that's fair. Which brings us right back to him. He's the only thing that really activates in the shooting phase here. Now, one thing to note is these lesser golems have a clear charge into their flank on the, what are they called again?
Needle fangs.
The needle fangs. So my leader point, like their arc is outside of my leader point, so he would hit their flank. It's within 10. So like,
Scary
again,
stuff.
the newest thing in 3rd edition is like I would normally measure from this point to see if I'm within range to charge, but from this, which I wouldn't be normally.
You would not.
Yeah,
so
so-
you see that range is not good. This range is good.
And that's the
This
new
is a
charge.
huge change for us because units like this now suddenly are way more viable because they've got, that little bit of distance is a huge deal.
Yeah, I think that's a good change too.
Yeah.
It makes, it really helps those larger units. Like, imagine, well, they're called legions and hordes. They have much bigger footprints. That means the center of their base is, well, it's pretty far away from a lot of things, and it's a lot harder to move them around.
A horde of dwarves like this would literally be 2 side by sides. You can imagine that size of a footprint. If they were pivoted like this, they got a lot more inches from that distance in the middle when they're pivoting. So it's literally the entire distance of the base if they pivot a certain degree. So a lot more movement for units that were slower in 2nd edition and struggled with that. Since
Yeah.
that charges a flank, I need to cast a spell with this guy, and the spell that I'm going to do is a Wind Blast. So the way that it works is it always hits on a 4, and I'm in his front arc. That means every successful 4-up that I roll pushes him back 1 inch.
Right,
So-
pretty much counteracting the surge I did.
Yes. Kind of a big deal. So only 2.
That's good enough, though, because I think just getting
Yes.
me out 1 inch would have knocked them out. So they're going to go back there, too. This is their new home. Now, hypothetically, if I had him touching their
Right.
base right behind them, almost at a 10 now, right?
Yeah. That's the big deal.
That helped. Yeah, maybe 2 was the, maybe
2 was
1
the
would have
magic
been
number.
enough. Yeah.
So,
Now, if he was there, they wouldn't be able to then push, but the only reason he wasn't there is because he surged them forward.
yeah.
And again, folks, that's the turn. Like, onto Abyssal Dwarfs turn 2. Again, a lot of trying to get into the proper position for the Night Stalkers. Started my movement phase, I'm going to see if anything can charge. Nothing can really charge, because these orcs have a charge range of 10, so they're obviously very safe. But I have to worry about them, because if they choose to just do a normal move, they could like nimble facing this way, walk their 9, and then nimble again, or to pivot looking in this direction. So we're doing a weird dance over here is what's happening.
Don't take them off.
The half-breeds are just, it's such a clear, easy charge for the half-breeds to go into the Scarecrows, but it's all part of the plan, man. It's just like, I want to charge something. I'm going to do it. I'm charging.
Yeah.
There we go. Like, they're going to charge and they're going to beat up those Scarecrows. It's going to be great. But the issue is then the Reapers come in afterwards and do me a big scare. They're going to have a big fright and they're going to do a big die. Maybe. Pivoting them. This is a risky play. We're going to go there. We're going to hopefully get a big surge off here. Because if I can surge them, it still hits them in the flank. Oh, that's right. I can move through my own units. I'm like, wait a second. I just stopped myself. No, that's not true. I moved through my own units. Now, obviously, this gives... I think that gives them a charge over here, but I'm going to probably be pretty distracting over here because I think I said these guys were going to charge. We've already measured it, so you technically, you go forward, and then you do your pivot, and then you crash into them. Hoo-ha! So now we are locked. Then
You
they
try
would
to
slide
go
over.
as straight as possible to make the connection, and then once you connect, you go flush, and then you slide down to match leader points as best as you can. So just straight on center. This is This is a great thing to take advantage of defensively if you want to cause your unit or your opponent to slide into terrain, for example. So a lot of really nuanced play involves taking advantage of that slides and sort of the movements of the mechanics of charging and how units come together in the first place. So one of the big changes in 3rd edition is that after combats, you no longer back up an inch. In 2nd edition, they just would back up if they failed to actually route the unit.
Right.
So now you stay engaged. That has implications for shooting sometimes. You have to choose to disengage if you'd want to. It also affects things that would open up flanks from backing up that 1 extra inch. So
Right.
all of a sudden, if you're in the front here, but then you back up and that opens up that wider angle. So that's no longer an issue for players.
These gargoyles are going to move next because they have fly and nimble. It used to be combined, but now it's
combined.
Now it's
there's
2 separate rules. So that means I'm going to do a normal move because I'm in the woods. I can't go at the double while I'm in the woods. So we're going to pivot here. We're going to go our 10. We're going to go my 10, which will be right there. Boop. And then pivoting up to 90 degrees again to about there. So essentially just doing a sideways move.
Yep.
But properly. And lastly, I could just sit there and be like, here, have a free flank charge. But I guess we're not going to do that. We're going to just pivot on the spot.
There you go.
And we are going to... No, this is good. We're just going to do that. That's
Both
good
units
happy.
are in your front now, so that's important.
And then these guys are... I don't know what to do with them. It's tough. You know what? This guy's going to have to double, make it nice and easy. There we go. Happy there. Now, this does fix my facing, but you're not allowed to back up. You're not allowed to back up and pivot. So as they were, I could have backed up. They still would have been in my flank. So this is a good move from Kyle, mostly because if I could back up, like, they're within an inch of charging, so I could back up an inch, but I can't. So I'm stuck dealing with this. Now, these orcs are going to be the answer to this double charge. They're going to be my very ineffective answer to this double charge coming up at me here. But it's what I got. Unless I get a cool lucky surge here, knock them out, and then I can face in here too to kind of create this weird standoff we have going on. So what these orcs are going to do, they're going to move forward 5, and then they're going to turn like that. Like that. There we go. And that way they're still in the front. And if you do double charge, I got a flank. Unless, of course, they get wiped out and you overrun them, which is something we'll get to if that comes up. Hopefully that doesn't come up, that'd be great if that didn't happen. The last thing I'm going to move is this fire team. I don't think I need the support over here so much, and that nasty shade is within range to charge my war machine. Now, mechanically, if that shade charges my war machine, it automatically gets triple attacks. Now, why does it get triple attacks?
It's a war machine. It's just sitting there. It's a guy with a big, fire cannon. He's not set up in a battle line, and a giant demon thing flies into it. It wants to go away.
Is it everything gets triple attacks against war machines?
Everything.
Oh, everything. Okay. I wasn't sure if it was just individuals,
No,
but it's
everything.
literally everything.
Yes.
So it's saying if you charge a war machine, it's dead. More than likely.
Pretty much.
Which should be the case. But I'm going to leave because I don't want that to happen to my poor little... I want to fire my fire. Please let me fire my fire. It's real cool. My engineers put a lot of work into it. A lot of alchemy, We've come out of the woodwork. Not a great idea because the lightning bolts are going to come at me. But that means I guess you're focusing on them. And I'm also at the 20-inch range for the charge from the shade. And again, I don't think I need the help too much over here unless they go down. And if they go down, well, that's just going to be the start of a lot of bad things happening. Cascading failure and all that good stuff. It happens. No, obviously nothing is in range for that to shoot at, so it's just going to stay there in the shooting phase. We're done the movement phase. We're going to go ahead and shoot some mortars on anything that I can see. The only real target I have is the Screech. My Screech.
Yep.
Well, to be fair, I could shoot at the shade as well, but he's stealthy and he is an individual, so he's -1 to hit and then a further -1 to hit. That means I'm hitting on technically a 7. The way that works is that you have your attacks and then hit on 6s. So it's like a different way if you're familiar with Warhammer Fantasy. It used to be you would hit on 7s, which was hitting on 6s, then into 4s, which is kind of the same math, if not identical. But way easier.
But just easier.
It is way... Actually, this is actually a better way of doing it, I think, too. Not only because it's easier, because then you have the guaranteed odds instead of having to roll the 4-up. It's an automatic 50-50. So just 2 shots at the Screech. If I got double 6s here or like 1 good hit, bam! Well, you know what?
I wasn't stealthy.
Don't bring that up, okay? I don't like to see that the rule mattered. If I rolled 2 2s or like a 2 and a 4, I'm like, whatever, I missed anyways. Stealthy didn't help you. It's fine. You know what? This thing hit once this game already. He's already done his job. Alright, that's pretty much it for shooting, minus the surge here. I need some big numbies here. I think I'm like 7 inches away or something, so I need to show 7 4-ups. I'll get 3 again. And I have to go that 3. We lumber forward. Oh, there we go. And that's not ideal. But hey, it is what it is. Now we go on to the first combat of the game. I get to attack with my half-breeds into some pathetic little scarecrows. Though I do have a charge on the big brain for next turn. All part of the master plan, doing the big brain moves up here. Better watch out, I'll get you. Now, these guys, I think they have about 16 attacks. I'll go double check that in a moment. But they have, in this case, Thunder's Charge, so they lower your defense by 1, and Crushing Strength.
You're making my defense a 3 all the way down to a 2 no matter what happens here.
And
So
I'm vicious because I'm an Abyssal Dwarf. My guys hit on 3s. I didn't charge through anything nasty. Charging onto the hill doesn't reduce my hitting by 1, so that's only mostly the woods or obstacles, I believe. So 3s to hit, no rerolling here. And I am wounding on, or damaging on 2s because of the Thunder's Charge, your low defense, and the Crushing Strength. Rerolling 1s for vicious. So you're going to be taking 5, 10 damage for a total of 13.
up to 13.
So what was their nerve?
Their nerve is Fearless 14. So
Okay, so anything.
the only way you can fail this is with Snake Eyes.
Right. So if I roll double 1s, they automatically pass. So we'll roll 1 die at a time.
Oh, so they're dead.
They're dead. So they are annihilated.
The Night Stalkers can steal Inspiring, which forces a reroll on this test from any unit in my opponent's army that has an Inspiring rule. So I am just out here.
So essentially, what that means is I have a 6-inch bubble of Inspiring. My guys get to re-roll their nerve checks. You actually get a 12-inch if you're near my guy. You get to use my own guys, but not in this case. And now, because I beat them up, I have 3 options here after combat. I can overrun D6 inches, but I think I still have to stay in. I can't overrun into combat.
You couldn't go into combat. You have to stay an inch out.
So I have to stay an inch away, or I can pivot where I am and reform, or I can sidestep half my, how far? D3. I can
D3,
sidestep
yep.
D3, that's what it was. I am going to, I don't want to because I don't want them getting charged, but that's the purpose of having the gargoyles there to help out. So D6 inches forward, 4, but I have to stay an inch away if you can move them.
What you would do is you would move them all the way up, and then they would back out their 1 inch.
Boop. So now I'm essentially blocking them unless they want to do a move in a, like backwards or in another direction.
I can't get his gargoyles or go anywhere else now because he went forward like that.
But I do have to survive their initial charge. When they are, like you said, blenders, so hopefully I can survive that, and then the gargoyles can come in and help out after. And that's all she wrote. So we're going to go on to the top of turn 3 of potentially 7. All right, your turn 3.
So many things that I got to think about here that are really important.
I need to hold.
Yeah. I know that he's got a clean charge on this Mind Screech next turn just based on an angle here. So he could come in here and take that, and I think that's a really good option for him. So in order for me to buy time with that, I am going to charge the golems with the Needle Fangs.
Interesting. Now, I assume they're not super strong,
They are not strong at all.
but they're great at tying me up,
They're
right?
great at tying you up. If you notice, I got a lot of units that are like that.
Yeah, how many points are they?
80.
I usually put a lot of value on the points of things. Now, in this game, it's a little different because they're only 80 points, and so are they, but they fill a very specific niche role that's important in these kinds of armies. Now we have to do charges over here. Now, this is specially done.
So anytime that you've got 2 units that want to charge 1 unit, you have to declare it at the same time. So I want the Butchers and the Shadow Hounds to both go into the Immortal Guard. You want to pick the orders and how you do this very importantly. So I'm going to start with the Butchers, and they have to stay on this side of things.
Because they're on that side
They're
already.
on that side of that leader point, so that's where I have to go. And you have to make this as close as possible to a straight line without touching other units. So sometimes you need to use a laser tool to measure and make sure that you actually have a clean. But this is a really neat way to just make sure that where my angle is matched up, I'm not going to hit the enemy here or my own unit. That's the important part. So that's my closest straight angle, and then I would go straight forward, and I know I'm not hitting the woods either, because even though that model's fist is in the way, I can go around that.
Right.
And I would hit here, and then they're going to slide as
far as
close
they
as
can.
possible to right there.
And then
so
these
now
are-
I have a very small gap for these Shadow Hounds
Unfortunately, they're on a hill for me.
on a hill, so they're going to come straight forward like this and connect. Now, something that you could have done is put these in a place that I couldn't place them.
That's as far as they could go, though.
Yeah. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's a good play would be if I can't actually fit them in that space, then you can put them there to defend.
Oh, that would have been smart. I could have gone at the double with them. Ooh, okay, I'll remember that for next time.
Yes. All right, so I see with my beady little eyes, this shade has got a wide open charge into his Ironcaster. So 20-inch charge range, I've got quite a bit of movement here. I'm going to come straight forward and I'm going to hit, and then he's going to align to me. That's unusual or different for individuals to do, but this is a good option for this shade to do something. And he's got a special rule called Dread, so that every nerve test that happens within 6 inches of him is a -1 to his nerve.
Oh, that's huge! I didn't even consider that. Now, I knew I was going to be leaving my character open when I surged them forward to take the gamble to take them out and then get into a better position, but I forgot about the Dread. That's cool.
Last one, this is pretty straightforward. I'm going to charge them because if I don't kill them, my entire backfield's open and all these objectives are open, and that's kind of scary.
We're going to go for this combat first. If you can kill the character off before we do these other combats, I lose my Inspiring reroll, so I'm just doing hard nerve checks.
Scary stuff. So the shade hits on 3s.
Okay, that's not
too
good
bad.
for me.
Not too bad. Crushing Strength 1 on him, which means that I need...
Probably 3s. He's actually defense 5.
Yeah, so I need 4s here. Pretty big deal.
Got 2.
Only 2. So we instantly do a nerve test now. His nerve is 11-13, so we add 2 plus 10.
Oh, he's wavered.
He's wavered.
But he's not dead.
But he's not dead.
Can I still use his Inspiring if I'm wavered?
Yes.
Okay, good. Ooh, that was still a really high roll, though. So he's down to 2. Well, he's taken 2 wounds.
All right, so the Needle Fangs have a nifty special rule. It's called Strider. So because they're this undulating mass of wormy mouths, they can go through terrain and not be hindered. So that means they're not going to suffer a negative modifier to hit for going in the forest. Now, the difference between a rule called Strider and Pathfinder is Strider, I can't move at a double through the woods. So it still slows me down, but I'm not negatively affected. So they've got 12 attacks, but they hit on 5s. So not great here.
There's 3.
Total of 3.
I'm defense 6.
Defense 6, so I need a flat 6 just to move here. So nothing.
Okay, well they bounce off
tried.
the golems. To be fair, golems are pretty tough. And it's something like these guys would tear up the golems, and unfortunately they're going to be tearing up my Immortal Guard, which is, do you want to do that comment next or this one?
Let's do the Immortal Guard next.
I don't want to.
All right, so let's do the Shadow Hounds first. You can pick the combats and how you want to do them, but the Shadow Hounds here have 20 attacks. They came off the hill.
Yeah.
So they are hitting on 4s, 20 attacks. They have Thunderous Charge 1 in their profile, which means it modifies defense by 1. When you come off a hill in 3rd edition, you're now getting a +1 to your Thunderous Charge. So I'm modifying his defense of 5 down to 3s. So I need 4s first to hit.
That was average.
3s to damage.
And that is a total of 7 damage. Now, normally you immediately do the nerve check, but we have another combat to do first, because there's 2 combats on one here. So we're already at 7. But I am fearless, and my nerve is, I think it's pretty
17.
high. 17. Okay, so currently, as long as they do nothing, I'm probably okay. But that's not going to be the case, I'm thinking.
Butchers have 18 attacks. They are hitting on 4s. I did not hit the 4s, thankfully, so all these 4s are going to count.
A lot of 5s and 6s anyways. Pretty exceptional hit there.
Man. And then Crushing Strength 2, so once again, 3s are good.
Oh, boy. Now we're at 14. So was I 17 you said?
Yeah.
So
Fearless 17.
So that means
I need a 3.
So you got to roll as long as you roll a 3 or more, so double 1s essentially. Yeah. I'm good. But I'm inspiring, so it means you get to you have to re-roll it. Come on, inspiring! Not even close. So you charge in, you annihilate these dwarves. They are very dead. And now I assume that they. Can you choose different options for both?
I
of them?
can choose different options for both.
Do you know what you want to do right away?
So yeah, it's important that you do it right away. So these guys can turn to face. That's going to be pretty important. Now I have to be able to not overlap my own base. So I have to kind of turn an angle here. Now I'm still in your front, so I'm safe.
That's still fine,
and they're not going to be able to do anything different. And I have to maintain a 1-inch gap though, so I'm going to have to actually turn a little bit more.
And then they end up like that to face against my lesser golem. So I have to ideally kill off the little worms, or else I'm in a bad spot. Now, if I can survive this, I'm in a good spot.
All right, so the Reapers are hitting on 3s.
With 20 attacks.
With 20 attacks.
Looks like a good roll.
Crushing Strength 1 on these, which modifies his defense of 4 down to 3s.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's 5-10. Now I have the staying stone on them, so my waver value is a little bit higher, but still 10 damage is nuts. So 10 damage, pretty rough. If you roll a 5, I'm wavered. If anything less, I'm okay.
Oh no! Oh,
so that means they're sticking around. They have regeneration, and that means I might actually still win this flank. Now, if you roll the 5 or more, or Yeah, or
Just
6.
just one more.
Even a 5, because that means they would have been wavered, and they would have had to stay there. They wouldn't have been able to move. Being wavered is awful, because you're pretty much turned off for a turn. And then they have 10 wounds on them, so they're probably dead next turn anyways. So them sticking around,
That's a big deal.
that's like a saving grace for me. And then that will conclude the turn. Oh,
One thing I can do. This is the Salt the Earth scenario, and
yes, that's true.
This changes things for me. So because that unit didn't get taken off, I know that this objective is at a lot higher of a risk. Basically because these guys can come around and get it. So with Salt the Earth, I have the ability to burn objectives that I control. This has 1 unit strength, so I control it. I'm going to burn this just to keep it safe and deny it from him.
That's right. That means this is not a free point for me in a good area. Okay, well then that will bring it to me on the bottom of turn 3.
Bottom of 3?
Yeah. Now I get to show off my regeneration mechanic. So at the start of my turn, they have regeneration. I roll 1 die for every damage they have on them, and for every 5 up, they lose that. They regenerate that damage. So I have 10 damage on me currently. So it works the better you are. It works more the more damaged. We're looking for 5s here. Bam! Oh my goodness, that is 6 damage returned.
Come on, man.
So we've only got 4 damage on us. We're just gonna go ahead and, maybe that'll keep us alive for a little bit longer. Now for some charges. I'm gonna get back to that because I'm probably gonna declare them at the same time, but I'll do the boring ones first. These Orcs Charging, the dogs, the Hounds. Boop boop. Now, this would be hard to place, but most of my base was not on the hill. That means I don't get the hill Thunderous Charge.
Yes.
So I think you mentioned half the base has to be on the hill, so it'd have to be something, something more like that. So they're gonna end up there. There we go. Hands free. Dice supported. Golems are just going to declare a counter charge. So we're already in base contact. Instead of disengaging, I just declare a counter charge and we just stay where we are. And do you get your charge? Would you get normally charge bonus things like Thunderous Charge if I wasn't wounded?
If you didn't take damage, yes.
Right, okay. So they don't have anything like that. It was more or less me asking a question. Now, what do I do with him? I think
He's wayward, so you're kind of stuck.
Yeah, that's right.
Walk.
That's true. I can go backwards. That's not ideal, but you know what? I don't want to be engaged anymore, so we're just going to do that.
Oh, you're going to let me charge the War Machine now?
Could you do that anyways?
Yeah.
What do you mean? Leave me alone. So he's going to back up to there. He's going to stay within 6 of them to keep them inspired. He doesn't have regeneration, does he?
I don't think so.
Okay, no, it's pretty much just the Immortal Guard and
Yeah.
those guys over there. And now I'm going to declare both of these units charging them, which means that actually, because of the hill being height 2, them being height 2, you can't actually see them, and obviously my guys are blocking them as well. So I'm just going to declare a charge with them, and they're going to reposition and go elsewhere. Nothing else is within 20 inches or an arc, so they're going to get into a better position. But they took damage last turn. That means they don't get Thunderous Charge, they just get the Crushing Strength. Hopefully that's enough to take out these Reapers, though. These guys are going to move a little bit, just to there. They're going to hopefully get lucky and try and shoot the shade out of here. Could shoot them, but they have insanely high nerve. They're nerve 18 fearless. That means you have to roll the hard 18 or more, and then they're gone. So I'd have to do at least 6 damage to them, but only with 12 shots hitting on 5s, and then double 6. Or if I did 6 damage, it's not going to happen. So they're nimble. They're going to pivot here, and they're going to go double move, and they're going to end up somewhere around here. That way, we're going to charge their flank. Or one of their flanks, if that comes up. Hopefully they win that fight, position over here, shenanigans happening, all that stuff. With that, they land about there. Start 12 shots into the shade. Now he is -1 to hit for stealthy, and he is independent or individual, so he's a little bit harder to hit. And by a little, I mean a lot. 6s! We got a hit. You know what? And I think this is piercing or no?
No piercing.
We got nada. It wouldn't matter if it was piercing. Order. At the Screech. 2 shots on 6s. Bang, bang. Nothing.
Oh!
Doesn't even add up to 6. Now, he's not able to cast spells because he was wavered. And that's pretty much it for the shooting. We're going to go ahead and start with that fight first to make myself feel good. 3 to hit with the big hammers. Boom, boom, boom. Pretty good. You know, average-ish. And these are 3s to wound with vicious. So we get to reroll these. Only failing 2. Not bad. So you haven't taken any damage yet, but you just took 8. Oh, they're 11, 13. No inspiring from them or no stealing inspiring. So I can at least waver them, maybe. Oh, no, kill them.
Negative 16. That
All
is, see you later.
Goodbye. Now I am going to reposition. We're gonna pivot that way. Technically, half of the footprint of the base is on the hill, so they will get Thunder's Charge if they do charge again. And that's it for them. But now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do this fight to make myself feel good too. The lesser golems are gonna try and beat up the little worms. 4s to hit. It's pretty good, above average there. And 2s, 5 damage. What's their nerve?
Not very good. I think it's 9/11.
Bye-bye.
Oh, yeah.
But you still inspiring.
Oh, yes, I do.
So I guess I should re-roll that. So I did 8.
5 and
13.
13, that's enough to kill him.
Woo, kill the worms! Bye-bye, wormies. And then I will then obviously reposition to face the big scary butchers.
Turn them to show me your butt.
No, the butchers are gonna kill me, so I'm just gonna go take these guys, because the middle one's the only one that's super important when it comes to positioning.
Correct.
So he'll go there, and then that means that these guys will be his.
Now I'm going to be hindered when I charge you and -1 to hit.
Now, hopefully my high defense and the woods do a big protect. And I guess I should resolve this as well. Alright, slave orcs. Show us what you got! 12 attacks, not too bad, not the best, not the worst. Hitting on 5s, definitely the worst. Oh, come on, dice! Okay, that's not so bad. That's actually a really good roll. Hey, look at that.
Hey, now.
Now they
Better
have.
than half.
Oh yeah, they got crushing strength 1 because they're orcs. Right? That's a general orc rule they usually have.
Pretty
Like you
much,
said. What's the defense on them again?
Defense 4, so you need 3s here.
I assume they're not vicious.
They are not.
So looking for. You said 3s, right?
3s.
All right. Oh, no 1s anyway. So 5 damage. Their nerve is
14, 16.
okay.
Uh-oh.
Whoa! I just did 15. But
did.
You steal my
For a
inspiring.
wavering, that does not matter.
What do you mean? Oh, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So if you didn't route them, the wavering sticks.
Oh, so they're I actually didn't know that. So it's either it's route reroll and
Yes.
anything else you don't.
Yes.
I wavered them. Oh, slave orcs, go! You're awesome. Look at that. Pushed just hard enough.
Yeah.
And that, folks, is all she wrote for battle round 3. I'm not gonna burn any objectives. More importantly, because I don't hold any objectives. So we're gonna go on to turn 4 for the Night Stalkers. Obviously, the Shade wants to go for the War Machine.
Obviously, that's a pretty big deal. So Shade is going to just essentially fly over. And
So we're discussing it, and he's like, I could go for them and protect my flanks, but I'm like, oh no, the War Machine. You obviously want to go for the War Machine. You don't have to go for the War Machine.
I gotta show mechanics, right? To understand how the game works.
No. We already know that everyone gets triple attacks against War Machines. We're gonna go for the Harpies because that's the smat move.
Individuals can turn to face any direction before they declare a charge, which is a big deal here. So I need to do at least 1 point of damage to them to take their flying away.
Yes.
So that you can't just hop right over me and hit them. That's the big deal here.
That shouldn't be too hard. Now these guys have regen. They still get it even though they're wavered. That's pretty much the one thing they'll be able to do. So
Yeah, so that's pretty much all I got. But 5
That's
to take away.
excellent.
Hey, that's a really good roll.
it makes up.
So takes me down to 2.
Not too shabby at all. Slave orcs will just have to work really hard again.
This is very clear kind of what I have to do here. Butchers are going to go straight into the golems and slide down. And because I'm hitting the forest, though, I am going to be -1 to hit. And that
Right.
takes their 4s to 5. So, yikes.
That could be bad.
All right, Mind Screech doesn't want to be silly, and I'm going to back up. You back up half of your speed, so his speed 6 is going to go 3 inches back. Now I am slightly more protected from the house, because the pivot here could still happen, but he's at least going to be hindered, because he can see me over the house. That's the critical thing.
Right. What is the height of the house?
Typically, houses, you would do something like a 4 or a 5.
Okay. So what we did do here, though, to fix this is I can't charge the front because I'm actually in your flank.
Yeah. Arc here is, your leader point is in my flank, which means you would have to charge that arc, which is important because that's a really nice defensive tool that you can use. He can't fit his unit there with a house.
Right.
So
The house protects. Lightning bolt in the shooting phase into my War Machine, my flamethrower.
all right. So Lightning Bolt 6, this is a clean shot. 4s will work.
Ooh, not bad. 3, very
Too
mathy,
bad.
very
Piercing 1, so defense 4 goes to 3s again.
good. 3 hits.
3 hits.
And I don't know what my nerve is. I'll double check. Took 3. Nerve 10, 12. So
Nerve is 10, 12, 3 on that, so 3 is not anywhere close.
okay, it didn't do anything. Well, for later. This is a very important fight. We're going to see if the Shade can either break them or at least do some damage to them.
I have to do at least 1 point of damage. It's
Take away
really
the
good.
fly and their nimble.
So yeah, hitting on 3s.
Oh, that's not what you want to see.
But
Okay.
I only need 2s here.
Right.
Only need 2s here. Okay,
Nice.
so
They
2
take
points of
their
damage.
And
That's critical.
Because of Dread, you said they're 8-10?
They're 8-10, so now they are 7-9.
So if you roll a
damage.
7, they're dead. Oh, they're out
That's
here.
an 11.
Oh, but I got
You
inspired.
are inspired, yes. Actually, no, you are not. It's Hellforged only.
That's right, it's only Hellforged. They're just gargoyles.
So
Goodbye.
That's what a good nerf roll will do you.
Yeah. So currently he's in the arc for my half-breeds. Would you like to overrun?
If I D6, then you can't charge me, so that's kind of a big deal if I can get actual distance.
If you rolled like a 1 to 3, I'm pretty sure I'm still in arc. A 4? I don't know. I think so, maybe. It's hard.
Maybe.
Eyeballing it to maybe. Turns out he is actually still in when we...
Yeah, I am still in. I would have needed about 1 more inch to get out. If you make this thing nice and flat, that 45 is right dead center on me.
Ooh, that's an ideal charge.
I couldn't run.
Yeah, 1 more inch. Yeah, because like I said, I thought the 1 to 3, I'm still clearly in. The 4 was iffy. Butchers are up next. Let's see what they can do with these golems. I'm defense 6, but you're crushing blow 2.
Yeah, but I'm hitting on 5s because of the trees. So
5s into 4s. That's a good roll. That's how many attacks do you normally have?
18.
Okay, it's a little under half, but still really good.
Yeah. So crushing strength 2, I need 4s now because your defense is 6.
Oh, that's something. That's 5. Fearless 14. If you roll a 9, they're gone. But inspiring.
Inspired, yes. Oh,
They're sticking around. Okay, they're still healthy.
inspiring.
Whoo! Okay. We're going on to my turn now. Well, unless you're going to burn anything. But I don't think
I have anything to burn.
No, we were kind of tied up over here and all this good stuff. So that'll be the end of the turn. Them sticking around is a big deal for me. Now, I could charge a shade, but they also have line of sight because from the leader, they can see the back end of them. These guys are height 3 they're 4 to their 3. So they block line of sight in that direction, but my leader can see the flank of them. Now, I'm charging the front, but I do have line of sight on the flank, so that means I have line of sight to charge, and they're within 16. Now,
You charge whatever arc you're in. So you're in the front arc, you have to go through the front arc, but it doesn't matter if you see the flank.
Right. Unfortunately, I'll be charging into woods, though.
Yes.
But I think it's still worth it. We'll see. I'm losing my Thunder's charge bonus because I'm charging into woods. Back to regeneration on the half-breeds on a 5 or more. I get 1 damage back. So they went from 10 to 3 so far, which is not bad. And that's it for regeneration. So for charges, I'm going to go, or for movement, they're going to charge them.
Yep.
So just counter charge, I guess, technically.
No, it's fresh charge because I didn't charge you because I was wavered.
Ooh.
So you get your thunderous charge for being on the hill.
Interesting. So that means I'm modifying your strength, toughness by, or defense by 2. The rest of stuff, I'm curious if this guy's good in combat. Maybe I'll charge him in too, though I doubt he is.
There are instances where you want to, but this is not one.
This is not really. Oh, maybe I'm better off. Can I do the spell after charging?
No.
Oh, maybe the spell's probably better then. Now, again, having to declare both of these as charge target. Yeah, both of them are charging the butchers at the same time here. Theirs is a counter charge, so the woods don't matter for them. Now, the fresh charge into the woods, they will be hindered. So -1 to hit, and they lose their Thunder's charge bonuses. Unfortunately, I'm on the hill, so I lose double Thunder's charge. But I think it's worth it to go into the butchers. Now, because they're both declaring at the same time, they're both going to the front. I have to make room for both of them. So what that means is these guys shift over so that half of them are in the frontage, and then the other half of the frontage will be for the cavalry coming in. So if anyone's curious about how this the Thunder's charge works on the hill, the rule is quite simply written. If you are charging on a hill to a unit that is not on a hill, these guys are not half on the hill, they're about 25%-ish. The hill curves in underneath and they're supported by it right now. Then you get Thunder's charge +1. So this is that case. So they make it in there, they charge there. I really want to charge him in there, but I more or less think he'll be better off casting the Bane on them to get them another crushing strength. So it'll be crushing strength 2 instead of 1 because they have more attacks over them. They hit on the same at this point though, but still more attacks is better. Now I really wanted Sweet Vengeance for my gargoyles, but I'll have to get that later. What? Stealthy. Stealthy. This guy's just gonna turn to face that way and hose him down when that comes up.
I did that on purpose.
Now this guy's just gonna shoot at the monster, the brain still, the all game mortar. We're gonna start with this one because that's the end of the movement phase. 2 shots on 6s, not there yet. Like I said earlier, I got that 1/6, good enough for me. They get 1 for every 6 thrown, so technically on the next throw, I should. This is turn 4, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I should have gotten maybe 1 more 6. But I'll get it in the next. As long as I get 1 more 6 in the next 2 throws,
Average is still there. This guy's gonna bathe him in sweet abyssal flame. Stealthy and individual, so 6s. Ooh, we got a couple this time. Though you are defense 5,
Defense
I believe.
5.
Nada.
Nada.
Oh, vicious. Hey, look at that. Nada. All right, slave orcs, can you do it again?
MVP.
That'd be if they kill them off, 100% MVP, because they solved my one big issue with these stupid hounds. Hitting on 5s with 12 attacks. Okay, you know what? We got 4. It's not the worst. So crushing strength 2, or thunderous charge and crushing strength. So reducing your defense down to 2. 4, putting you up to 6.
6.
But you still mind inspiring.
14, 16.
So if I roll
Oh, 8, 10.
that's a 7. So that does not. That's 13 in total. They're holding. Oh, I hope they don't regenerate a lot because that'd be bad for me if that happens. Now we have this combat to do. I'm gonna do the golems first. 9 attacks, forced to hit. Okay, you know, again, pretty above average by amount. That's actually 2/3. It's like hitting on 3s. Currently crushing. What are they crushing?
Crushing strength 2.
Oh, so that brings down
3s here.
3s. All right, with vicious. Reroll. There we go. We got 4. Forgot to do the Bane chant on them before I roll to attack. Said that I was going to do it earlier. I get it off on the 4. All that does is give them crushing strength 2. 4s because of the trees. Didn't really roll. I rolled a couple 3s. 3s to do damage. Rerolled the single 1, which helps. So they took 4, 8, 11. And they're 18? Mm-hmm. So I need to roll 7 rerollable because you steal my inspiring. Huh. No!
Oh.
They stick around taking 11 damage, just taking a beating. And that is my turn. As we go on to turn battle round 5, we're getting near the end of the game. And, well, things are getting pretty bad for... I thought I was going to do a little bit better over here, but they're both holding, which is kind of scary for me, because now you can kind of declare a charge against one of them and not the other, and then kind of really bully one of them down.
Mm-hmm.
Shadowhound regen.
Going to countercharge, obviously you declare that when you do it, and I only get 2 back. Down to 4.
And then countercharging me.
Countercharge there, yep.
And then I assume countercharging one of these 2.
Yeah, so I think my better play here is to countercharge the Abyssal Half-Breeds. I would slide down to your hero, okay?
Right.
These guys need to back up 1 inch because they're now...
Not engaged anymore, right?
Not engaged, yes. And that just helps to keep things clear.
Yep.
And that should be one of the things. The Shade, I think I want to here turn him and jump him in here.
No!
Just to get the extra damage and Dread. It's going to be a big deal.
And to note, you countercharge, so you're not the -1 to hit anymore.
Correct.
So shooting at them with a lightning bolt.
Shooting lightning bolt into the forest with these guys, so that because they're in the forest, they automatically gives them cover for being inside of it.
Right.
That means my lightning bolt is going from 4s to 5s to hit. This is tough. So I need 5s.
Okay, not bad.
I got 2. Got 2.
Average.
And then their defense 6. So it's piercing 1. I need 5s again, and I just need 1 here to force a nerve test. Oh yes!
So they're
Okay.
at 6.
Takes your damage up to 6, and now a nerve test. This is the important part. Their nerve is Fearless 14, so I need a 7, right?
Yes. It's 2 and a 5.
5, 6, 7.
So am I within 6?
That is enough. 6 and 7 is 13. No, that's not enough. I needed a.
Oh, because you
Oh
don't.
no, Dread.
Right, Dread's huge, right? Dread lowers it down to 13, so
Yes.
they would die, but inspiring.
Inspiring here, so I get forces a reroll.
So you gotta roll less than a
7 or
7.
higher.
They're gone.
Yes!
Lightning bolts them right out of here, so you don't have to deal with them anymore.
That's a huge deal.
Oh, it just arcs between all of them and they crumble. The magic that sustains them is gone. All right, the Hounds are up next, attacking the slave orcs.
So they are just hitting on 4s here, so it's clean. Unfortunately, I don't have Thunderous Charge, though, so it's going to be just this versus their defense.
Oh, because I did damage, that's right. That, sir, was an amazing roll. You had, what, 20 attacks?
20
6?
attacks,
13, missed 7 times, eh?
Yeah.
You have no crushing strength
No
or anything like that,
crushing,
right? So I think I'm
No.
defense 3 or 4.
Defense 4.
Okay.
So,
So 4s and a 4s, eh? So 4, 5. Let's make a grand total of 5 on them. Their nerve is 12, 14, so if you roll a 7, they're
Yep,
wavered.
they're wavered.
Ah, they're wavered. Oh, that's all the difference for you
That's
right
a
there.
big deal, yeah, for sure.
Alrighty. The Butchers are up next, in addition to the Shade.
In addition to the Shade, yeah. Let's do the Butchers first. They're kind of the big ones here. So hitting on 4s again because it's a counter charge.
And that's just their
Oh,
base.
man.
It's alright, a little below. Crushing strength 2, choose 2, and I've already taken 3. There is a 1. So that's 3, 7, 10. We're currently at 10. And they are... Oh, we have the shade. That's right. So 10
Hit on
plus the
3s for this guy.
shade. 2 misses.
Of course. And then crushing strength 1, so 3s again.
So 13.
3 more.
15, 14 now because of dread. And obviously at 13 damage, so double 1.
Snake Eyes saved you. Oh!
So that's close.
Oh!
Because of the dread.
You are
but
inspired.
I am inspired, so
Yes.
another Snake Eyes. Oh, dang, a 3 twice! So that's 16. That does take them out. I think that would have taken them out.
Even without dread, yeah.
Even without the dread, they were still dead, yeah. Oh, no, Dice, why you taught me so? Why are you so dangerously close to happiness for me? Alright, so that does take these guys out. Butchers are going to turn to face after annihilating my golems. Now, they've still taken 11 damage.
Yeah.
What to do, though? I want to take both of them out, but... So they're see, the problem is they regenerate. They don't.
Yes.
But they're also going to run through my lines and annihilate me if I don't deal with them. So that brings us to the end of battle round, to the end of the top.
4.
We're halfway
Half
through 4. Halfway through 5. That's right, 5.
Yes.
Now we're going to go on turn 5 for the Abyssal Dwarfs. On to movement. The mortar's gonna stay where it is because I need that to focus on the butchers. If I like best case scenario, my shooting can kind of carry me a little bit here on the war machines, but I'm getting stealthy stuff, so that's not ideal. So look, if the mortar can take them out and the flamer can take them out because they're wavered, that'd be super clutch and be a great position for the Abyssal Dwarfs to be in. Because currently, with them wavered and my poor half-breed slain, not a whole lot going on. So for movement, we're gonna turn these guys in this direction so that they have line of sight and arc on both of them so they can choose who they shoot at, whereas the mortar has to shoot at the butchers. And this guy here, oh, if I charge, I can't shoot at them. Oh man. Oh, what do I do with him? He can't really do much. Fireball would be super great here. Sure wish I didn't have the surge.
If you can do 1 point of damage to him, you will take my fly away.
You know what? Yeah, whatever. He'll go charge him. Bam! What up?
Yeah.
I guess he faced me.
There you go.
So with him charging, I will move him back a couple of inches, just outside of his 10, just in case.
Yes.
I'm able to do damage to him that he's still safe. Well, that's it for movement. On to shooting. Mortar, butchers. I've been told to pray to Pizza Jesus to make this work. I need 6s. Pizza Jesus. No! I was like, huh? And I don't know what's more important to go for the flamer. Probably them, because they're already so hurt. If I can just take them out,
That's a big deal, yes.
So flamer into butchers. We need some hits. 5 to hit because it's stealthy. That didn't matter at all. We got 1. That was just a bad roll.
Yeah.
It stopped at 1-4, and I didn't get any 5s.
Defense 5.
Oh! We got 1.
That's enough for a test.
That could
That's
make
what
a
counts.
difference. So I need to roll a 6. Rerollable because he's still my inspiring. Oh, I don't even get the 6, man. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh.
Whatever. Butchers aren't even gonna do anything. They're nothing. They got nothing. Right, I've just been informed that my proud wizard here has 1 attack that hits on a 4. Oh!
You roll a 5 again, I'm sitting put.
No.
Oh, vicious.
Nice.
Oh.
Now, I don't think I could break him. Or does double 12s always breaks? Or waver?
You did 1 point of damage, he's 11, 13.
Oh, okay.
So,
Nothing. You know what? I knocked my wound over. So you take your damage, you lose your fly, you lose your nimble, and I'm okay with that, I guess. It's something. What's the movement on them?
they are speed 6.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna charge by them still. That's not great. And here we are, Kyle, sitting real pretty, top of turn 6 for the Night Stalkers. Now, you have some big openings here. They're obviously super critically hurt, but they're still fighting. That's good strength there. Now, one rule I wouldn't mind mentioning is, it's not going to come up for them, I guess it could, is devastating damages. That's a new rule in 3rd, right?
So yeah, there is a rule called Devastator where if your damage goes over your total route value, so these guys have a route value of 18, they've got 12 on them. If they had 19 damage, for example, they become devastated. And what that means is they have their attacks. If it was a spellcaster, it would also have their spellcasting abilities. So like my lightning bolt 6 would become lightning bolt 3.
Okay.
So it's just a way that if you roll the snake eyes, it makes that nasty snake eyes that would normally just make you lose your hair, which is how that happened. It makes that a little bit easier to bear.
Right. Right. I think that's a good change too, because that can be super frustrating. Like I need to get them off the objective in the middle, and they're just immovable, and then they're gonna smack me back just as that. Like it doesn't feel. I can imagine that wouldn't feel great if they're at full strength after taking like 20 damage. Like there's got to be a limit somewhere. And that's a good change. Right. Now, where would you like to start?
Well, I got a fresh charge here. That's obvious. And my decision is, do I want, because I can technically see them being on the hill, do I want to do that to make sure that those slave orcs go away, or do I trust that these guys can take them off? I think in this case, I need to trust that they can take them off.
I think you could trust them.
It's
regeneration.
Yeah, regeneration, I'm going to need 4 dice. Regeneration 5s are healing me back, and look at that. That's a great roll. That's what I get for forgetting.
So they charge there. I assume they're going to charge into the flamer.
Yeah, I mean, that's a decent play. I'm leaving the objective to do that. What I would do, honestly, is I can fly this guy up, and I would get him within 3 inches here.
Right,
so
that works too, yeah.
That's the better play. The Shade, I believe, is going to countercharge your Ironcaster, because that wasn't nice of you.
I tried, you know.
I don't appreciate that.
I at least attempted. You know what? The fact that he got 1 damage in, what a hero.
I need to do this, though, because if I don't get this thing off, it's more than likely going to take care of me. And if I stay out of the arc of the mortar...
He can't shoot.
Right, that's going to make me a lot safer. So let's go ahead and do that charge. Just get it on camera here, and I'm going to move out of the woods, which is pretty important. But I do triple my 18 attacks. So
wow, nice.
Countercharge here. Also, the Mind Screech, like I said, he's got Fly and Nimble, so I am able to literally just fly past the terrain and land right there.
Do you want to pivot at all because the Nimble, or?
You know, I could if I want to. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. The Slave Orcs are the biggest risk here, you know, for the following turn. Your Ironcaster doesn't matter, so I will just, you know, just in case.
One thing to note, that hasn't come up yet. You can't do spells if you go at the double. I was always wondering why you kept going like 6 inches, and I'm like, why don't you just fly around 12 inches every turn and do spells? Well, now I know. On turn 6.
Anytime you go out to double, you're essentially focusing on your movement completely, and you don't have time to set up to do something special.
Which is fair.
Shooting of any kind.
A powerful mage going around moving 12 inches every turn, casting spells is hard to get away from.
Right.
So he's done. Where would you like to start?
Let's do the Shade. That's a pretty big deal. So, countercharge here, hitting on 3s. All right.
Okay, perfect hit.
All right.
That's what
He's
you want.
defense 5, though. Remember, that's kind of crazy. So 4s.
And he takes 3, so he goes up to 5.
Goes up to 5. His nerve is modified down to 10, 12 now because of the dread, which is a big deal.
Wow. Okay, so he's still kicking.
Just outside. So
it's gonna be 54 attacks against my War Machine. So what people in the community often do, double snake, is called just rolling snakes.
We realize this is going to be the case. Now in tournaments, when you're on a chess clock and you need to roll all those dice, some people will actually strategically make you charge a War Machine so that you have to roll all those dice to take up time on the clock.
So the average here is those 54 attacks. So you have 27 hits and 2s to wound, I assume?
Yes.
2s to do damage, so it's probably about 21 damage. So even if you have that, which is drastically below average, we're still looking for double 1s.
Right.
So let's go ahead and roll a double 1.
Okay.
It almost halfway there. I'm not near inspiring, so he is gone. Just gonna stay right there because they're already within 3 of the objective. Don't want to risk losing it. If you pivot, you might lose it. And this could be the last turn of the game, so you might as well get the score, right?
Yes.
And now we have this fight. Is that 20 attacks?
Shadow Hounds, 20 attacks.
All right, hitting on
4s. I do have my Thunder's Charge 1, though, because you were wavered last turn, so that's helpful, going to 3s.
So that puts me to 14, double 1s to stick around. They are gone.
Okay.
All right, so they wipe out the Slave Orcs. You know what? There was a moment where they could have been heroic.
And just in case, I'm going to turn like this to see if I can go get another objective and keep their wounds with them.
All right. And then that leaves it to me. Very heroic stuff at the end here. So I think... Oh no, it's not gonna really work. If there's a turn 7, that's bad for me. Because they hold this objective, I think you automatically win. Just because
Pretty much.
Hypothetically speaking, if they didn't control that objective and I was able to get a random snipe on them,
Oh, yeah.
you'd probably win through kill point. I assume there's like a secondary, whoever killed more.
Not in casual games, very commonly in tournaments, yes. But
So
in
that's,
yeah.
it'd just be a tie. Yeah. I would count it as like a minor victory.
Sure.
So we're gonna take my shots anyways. You know, we hit on 6s, but that's okay because it's bound to come up now. Bang, bang. No.
I think it's what you rolled last time.
Not today. Stealthy showing its ugly face more than I'd like it to. And then I would just disengage here kind of thing. But
Yeah,
you know
want
what?
to punch him back?
Oh, you know what? I would counter charge. You're right. Yeah, but I could kill him. That's kind of cool. It's like a 1 attack hitting on a 4. Oh, that's a good start. Oh, this happened last time. Oh, dang it. All right, no, it didn't work that time. All right, Kyle, you get that awkward left-hand handshake. Thank you for the demo. Guys, that is Kings of War 3rd edition. That was a dangerously close game. And like any proper rank and flank war game, it came down to maneuverability until turn 3, and then that's when the bloodshed happened. There was a few skirmishes, but it all came down to that nonsense right there, that area. Them at 12 damage. That was huge.
So many things were gonna, teeter-totter this game. It went back and forth pretty much every turn where you had some good things that happened, and then all of a sudden I had some good things that happened, and it just, that's very common in Kings of War.
Exactly, and that's what you want. Like, this game was nice and balanced. There was no like huge random like, here's a spell. Oh, I got the double 6, and then here's the spell. Your army's off the table. All right, good game. Let's play again. No, this all came down to maneuverability, movement, positions, and planning ahead of time for a lot of your units. Obviously, the Shade is like the Shade. I played a couple of. This is my 3rd game now against Kyle and these guys, and this guy is terrifying. He has so much obnoxious things he can do. So I tried my best to try and avoid him and work with him, and I don't think he did. I think I was happy with what I was able to do with him.
You mitigated this game better than you have in the other games that we were doing as practice.
Right.
So.
The first game was a little rough. I think I got tabled pretty quickly in the first game through just dumb maneuvers on my end. Now my half-breed surviving that redonkulous attack by the Reapers was mint. Like, that was amazing. That actually was helped me get back in the game. They came over here, did a potential big swing against them, but they were so tough they were able to hold and just smash right back. And that's where the big turn came. But at some point in these games, there has to be a big turn, right? There has to be a turn of power. And
Something breaks.
Right. It's someone's got to break at some point. So again, thank you, Kyle, for the demo game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this Kings of War 3rd Edition Battle Report. Now, if you haven't played this before, and you liked what you've seen, again, maybe show this to a friend, right? Maybe if you got those old Warhammer armies or just old armies that are relevant for whatever you'd want to use them for, like, go check out the website.
Bases and post-it notes if you really just want to try it out.
Yeah, I've seen people do that before.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, just go check out the rules, get the rules, maybe get a friend who's interested in something like this and get them involved, dust off those old armies, or go to the website. And again, maybe check out that new 2-player starter set. If you liked these guys, if you liked how they looked, now what do you get in that starter box?
You get quite a bit of the Night Stalkers and you get quite a bit of the Northern Alliance. So this is a Northern faction that is a alliance of humans, elves, dwarves, and naiads, essentially. There's also some frost trolls, frost giants, ice elementals, so a lot of really creative stuff. They are led by some very inspiring characters, such as a Lord on Chimera, for example. So they've got Dire Fang Riders, which are essentially dudes with axes riding on like tauntauns.
Sure, cool.
So, really nice stuff that's mixed in. You've got some, you've got some good surge options with the ice elementals. The snow trolls hit like a truck, have great regeneration. So really great things that you can pick up the Northern Alliance army. And then the Night Stalkers are a great complement. They are a little bit more of a finesse army, I won't lie. The Northern Alliance are going to be great for beginner players. So if you have a friend that's been playing Kings of War and you want to get a new player in, Northern Alliance is probably a good thing for them, and the Night Stalkers are a good thing for you to try out. So it was designed to be that way. I think that the Night Stalkers are one of my favorite armies in 3rd edition, so that's probably what I'm going to be going forward with personally, just because every time I've played them, I've had such a blast. So great little tricks and movement shenanigans that you can pull with them, and some really good utility options in their units.
I think they are a very aesthetically pleasing army as well.
Yes.
So again, guys, if you want to get into this with a friend, go check out that new starter set coming out for 3rd edition at the end of October 21st-ish.
That's what we're looking for.
Again, promotional code, if you watch the other video, it's KOW MiniWarGaming. It'll give you a discount if you go and look to buy some of that stuff. Again, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. As always, we're going to see you guys next time. Maybe there'll be some more Kings of War stuff coming up on the channel for the future, because I know both Steve and myself are very heavily interested in
the
Josh
whole
as well.
studio right now talking about it, so I mean, there's a lot of buzz about this game right now.
It's always been on the back burners for us. It's always been like, we want to play this, we want to play this. Well, I got this army, I got this army, I got that army. Let's just find the time to play. We've just been so busy. Yeah. But now, a little bit of change at the office. We might have a little bit more time to play this. Maybe we'll see more in the future.
Yeah.
See you guys next time, and happy wargaming.